for April 26, 2022 to order. And the first item is the roll call again.
Bruce,
Here.
Erdman Hermans. I did not see her join, but I'll try to keep an eye out.
Okay,
Ramsey,
Here.
Schaefer,
Here.
Slavish,
Here.
and Paulson is absent. Brar is present.
okay, so the next item on the agenda is there are no public hearing, the approval of the minutes. Need a motion to approve the Plan Commission minutes of April 12, 2022.
Schaefer moves.
Slavish will
Okay.
second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Schaefer, second by Commissioner Slavish. Any question, comments, or changes? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve the Plan Commission minutes of April 12th, 2022, to say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We are on to the agenda items. Item number 1. This is the special implementation plan modification for sign design review for the West Edge 1312 John Drive. Daphne.
Yes, so this is for the signage for the west edge. It was in the old Marriott parking lot that they're building right now. And so they are proposing a wall sign and then the locations of 2 monument signs. And then we also heard from our Public Works Director on Monday that the second monument sign down here, they will have to cross, this is a sanitary sewer easement here, so they may not be able to put electrical on that signage. So he just wanted to let you guys know that if it is approved at that location, it has to be a non-illuminated sign. And then also there were some issues with, the height. It could be in the vision triangle just because of how close it is to the driveway. So that was an issue with this one sign. So we can, you can approve the location, with certain contingencies as well, that, we would look over as staff before they pull a sign permit. Other than that, everything else is the same as the staff comments.
Is there any presentation from the sign company or from Newcomb? Okay,
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say that we're here for answers to questions that anyone might have. And Brett Newcomb, as the owner, is also on the call.
okay. Okay.
Yes, hello.
Mhm.
Hello, Mayor. How are
Hello,
you?
Brett. Good.
Good to hear from you. Yeah, Daphne, you're right. That sign's in that, it is in that vision triangle. We're happy to move that out of that vision triangle and out of that easement. That's not a problem whatsoever, but I appreciate you guys bringing that to our attention.
Okay, thank you, Brett. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, please raise your hands. I don't see any raised hands right now. I did want to say that it looks very artistic and very tasteful and excellent. So I have no issues with this. I like the color scheme as well. Any questions or comments? Otherwise, well, need a motion to approve.
Slavish will make a motion to approve, subject to, final location of the monument signs, subject to kind of staff's final okay on that.
Okay.
And the
Need a
easement
second.
too, Mike?
And the easement as well, yes.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion by Commissioner Slavish, second by Elder Ramsey. Any questions or comments now? I think it looks very good. It's done well. So, okay, all those in favor of the motion for approving the specific implementation plan modification for sign design review for West Edge 1312 John Q. Hammond's Drive with conditions as mentioned in the motion, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. We are on to item number 2, specific implementation plan modification for building, lighting and sign design review of Stadium 1651 John Cummins Drive. Mark?
And Mark took the night off, so I can provide the background.
Oh, okay.
The applicant
Okay.
is requesting an SIP modification to install an LED border around the eaves and under the rain gutters along the kind of outlining the roof line of the building. And they are also requesting approval to replace a directional sign with one that is larger than what was previously approved and what is on the property currently. Mark felt that the unique characteristics of the property and the fact that this is within a PDD would merit consideration of the larger size sign. So he recommended approval of the design changes as a minor SIP modification, but contingent on the light output adhering to chapter 33. I think at the time of the submittal, we did not have a photometric plan submitted to us. So we would need to
Okay.
review that before we could issue a permit.
Okay. Any questions or your hands? I don't see any issues. I looked at the sign. I think it does make sense. It's Stadium Bank and for the hotel. So I think that's quite okay. Okay. If there are no questions, need a motion to approve.
Ramsey, I move approval.
Schaefer, second.
Okay. Okay. Motion by Elder Ramsey, second by Commissioner Shea.
With the contingent of staff approval of the light output.
Okay. And any other concerns which
Yeah.
you might have? Any other questions or comments? Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, all those in favor of the motion for specific implementation plan modification for building, lighting and sign design review for Stadium 1651 John Q. Herman's Drive, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. The motion was to include what was mentioned by Elder Ramsey in his motion. So next item is item number 3, defense. So the design review for replacement, Cool Hands, come 2404 Clark Street. It's Abby.
Yes, so this is a request to replace an existing wood fence with a chain link fence with the vinyl slats. And the fence location, they didn't submit a site drawing that shows the location of the existing fence, but it's in the side and the rear yard. And it's right at the lot line, which allows a maximum of 6 feet in height. We typically discourage chain link fences within commercial areas and redevelopment areas. And so we are not supportive of the change to chain link at this location. We didn't feel that it was keeping with the intent of the design review objectives. Specifically, there's a statement within the zoning ordinance that talks about within residential properties, parking areas that are located in the front and your rear yards shall have landscape screening and or screening by fencing having decorative character to soften views of parked vehicles. Interestingly, this is not screening a parking area, and there is very little landscaping on the site because it's been grandfathered in over many years and there hasn't really been any revisions made to the site. So that's really, there is pavement that goes pretty much up to the city right of way and probably beyond. One thought, because I know that cost was a factor to the applicant and I did not have a chance to speak with Amy Fitzgerald about this one. But one thought that I had is whether they needed the fence at all. I mean, that would significantly reduce their cost if they were to just remove the existing fence. The last I was over there, I didn't see anything that's being stored within the fence area, but I didn't have a chance to run over there late last week or early this week to look into the fenced area and see if that was a possible solution.
The biggest issue without having the fence there, when we bought the property, the people that went to the neighboring establishment actually were backing into the actual building and damaging the brick wall of the building. So the fence was kind of put there to be a barrier to keep them from damaging the actual building. And instead they were damaging and backing it into the fence. We had talked to Paul, he did put parking stops in, but it would still, every week we'd have to go out and replace the wood fence panels. I believe that would be the same problem we would have if we put vinyl or anything else up there. It would be a constant fight trying to get that fence fixed. So that was the biggest reason I wanted to put some nice looking chain link, at least in that area that goes between our property and the neighboring bar, so that if it does get bumped by hitches or parts of cars, it would just move the fence a little and not cause us to have to replace pieces constantly.
So did you, this is Edward, right?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Did you get to talk to the Paul's bar? I mean, that's really unacceptable that the cars were running into your fence, right?
Exactly. And there was some bad blood for a little bit there. We actually get along pretty well now at this point. There were some issues, I believe, and because when we bought the property, he used to be very good friends with the guy that owned it, and he was able to use the property and the parking and anything whenever he wanted. So I think he was a little upset when we moved in and his customers weren't able to use our lot and that for overflow parking anymore. We've gotten past that point and we've been working on this pretty well, but I don't really think there's anything else he can do to stop people from hitting it either. Really at a loss of how to work it out any other way rather than to have to use a material there that isn't going to be damaged.
So let's hear some comments from the commissioners. How would you solve this problem? The drivers running into this, and are there some other better solutions here?
We had also talked about moving the fence a foot further onto our property, and that might possibly be just the right amount that we need to stop, you know, the larger trucks and construction vehicles that frequent there from hitting it. So that was going to be one of our solutions with Paul when we replaced that back section there, that we would actually move it towards our building a foot in hopes that that would correct some of it as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be my suggestion, is to just move it a little bit so that, because it's not going to really, moving it a foot in isn't going to really disturb your needs at all, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the only thing behind the building there on that particular section is a walkway to get to like the air conditioning and that stuff. On the closer to the Lee Street side, we actually have like break room yard area. There's a garden and, you know, chairs and stuff set up out there. So there isn't like cars or anything back there that, you know, needs to be hidden from, you know, street view or is going to make the neighborhood look horrible, you know, if, you know, they could see in there. In fact, I think it might be nice if we could see, you know, out of the backyard over at least into our parking area and that stuff when we were using that area.
So that kind of brings it to Abby's suggestion of the potential, maybe just doing away with the fence.
Well, then we have the problem with them backing right into the building, and that, yeah, I can't afford to, yeah, to be doing actual building repairs to it.
So without the fence, they back into your building?
Exactly.
Boy, that is.
Yeah, they've busted, it's a brick building, but they've busted bricks, knocked bricks out of it. We had to replace a lot of the masonry work on the backside of that building when we bought it because it had been backed into and hit so many times. And then
Okay.
that area further back by that shed that you're showing in the picture is actually vinyl sided there where our fence isn't. And that vinyl siding has probably 5-10 different punctures from people's hitches backing right through the siding.
That's not good. Okay, so Elder Ramsey, you're done? I got,
Yep.
Okay, I got first Randy Bruce, then Mike Slavish, and then Gretchen. Randy Bruce.
So this view, Abby, is helpful. So it sounds like the fence is really required between the parking area and the building, but how about on the other sides of the site? Is the fence really required on those areas?
Yeah, we have that there just so we can have our own separate break area. Otherwise it becomes a walkthrough. People cut right through the middle of it. And it's just, yeah, it's just nice to have, you know, a little private break area where we don't have, the kids are right there at the high school. They cut through there all the time. So yeah, I would really, really like to keep that area fenced in. We also bring our dog to the shop once in a while, and that's a nice spot that she can go in and run around.
Would it need to be the 6-foot height on those locations?
I would prefer, I guess I'm open to suggestions on that. I mean, I would prefer it was, you know, at least, you know, a 5, maybe even 5. I don't know if that makes any difference to you at all.
Yeah. I was just thinking if we could get it maybe at a 4-foot height, you could see over it, it would open up the corner and make it a little bit more pedestrian friendly around there, while still maybe serving your needs. Those are my thoughts for right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Randy. So the next one is Mike Slavish, and then Gretchen.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of comments. You know, we certainly understand, you know, the concern about people backing into any kind of fence, and if it's wood, it gets damaged. You know, unfortunately, if it's chain link, if they back into that between the post, you know, it'll probably give a bit.
Right.
If they do that at a post, I mean, you know, now you're going to bend over a post, and that's going to look like hell, you know, within a short period of time. I'm just a couple of other thoughts. One, if you eliminated that fence, as I think Abby suggested, at least on that area where the parking lot is, and maybe you box in an area where the break area is for your building. But, you know, you could look at either taller parking lot bumpers, you know, on Paul's lot. 2 would be, you know, maybe you put some pipe bollards along that area where the building is, just to protect your building. I mean, there's a cost with that too, but it might be, you know, no more expensive than putting a fence along there and accomplish what you're trying to do, which is really protecting your building. We get that.
Right.
So
Well,
just-
the other issue we have there, I'm sorry I need to interrupt. With it being bar patrons, and we all understand what goes along with that. Even with the 6-foot fence, that yard ends up getting full of busted glass, beer bottles, and everything else. And the fence has really helped cut down on that. I would prefer not to, if we had that wide open in there, that whole area would be just destroyed and look like a junkyard. It's the only thing we have to, you know, to keep all of that refuse and the damage from happening to our property is to have this fence there.
Yeah, and I think under that scenario, I mean, I would probably tend to agree with staff that, because I think the rest of the fencing, you're not planning on replacing that. Is that correct, Ed?
The whole area we plan on replacing, because even the parts that weren't damaged from the bar, it's 12 years old now. It's time to put up something new. It's starting to look a little raggedy.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would certainly prefer that were wood. I mean, it's just a better look. Understand the concern with, you know, damage from the patrons at the bar. And again, it seems like, you know, maybe they should be doing something to protect your fence as well. Again, you know, maybe taller, you know, parking lot bumpers, that type of thing. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, those would be my comments.
Thank you, Mike. So maybe there's an opportunity to have some conversation with Paul's Bar. I'm sure you had the conversations before, right?
Yeah, we've had plenty. I've gone into the bar and actually talked to the patrons that have backed into the fence and had them come out and argued with them and showed them that they were actually parked in my fence at that moment. 90% of them just don't care.
Okay, Gretchen?
I feel this is a really unfortunate situation that a property owner has to put extra expense into upgrading and maintaining a fence for the problem of a different property owner's situation. I don't feel that the change in the aesthetics is that significantly different for this particular location to what's currently there. Especially noticing that the dumpsters are straight out in the open without any cover. That doesn't even appear to be consistent with our current code. I've never worked at a restaurant that just left their dumpsters sitting next to the street like that. That's disgusting. That smells bad. It looks bad. It sounds bad. Sure, you're going to get glass all over your property if, if that's where the dumpsters are next to your neighbor. I guess I don't have any particular issue with, in this particular case, allowing this property owner to take some measures with a metal fence and then some vinyl privacy screening that's not going to require maintenance to try to ensure some privacy and safety for his property and his people and his pets. That's kind of my feeling in this particular situation.
Yeah, we're doing our best to clean up the property over there. There's a lot of nice new buildings in the area. We're going to be reciting, and as we talked with a few of you before, the parking lot that will be getting redone next year. It just got put off because of some issues with the street not being done yet. So we're going to be doing a lot of improvements to the, to the building to make it look nice and fit in with the rest of the neighborhood. And I really think that doing this would look a lot better than something that's going to be busted and broken again in the future, in the very near future, I'm assuming.
Yeah, your suggestion of, taking care of the parking lot and the building so that it fits in the neighborhood, that's really excellent. Any more comments or questions, Gretchen?
Sorry, I forgot my hand was raised.
Okay, so the next one is Commissioner John Schaefer.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy with the proposal that you're looking to do, because while this technically is sort of residential, there's nothing anywhere near that's residential. And to me, the wooden fence is also a particular spray paint target. I don't know if you've ever had kids spray painting graffiti or anything on there, but it doesn't look very good now. And I think the new fence will look absolutely not worse and probably better. And I think your concerns are heard. So I have no real problem with the issue of this proposal.
Okay, next one is Randy Bruce.
First a question for Abby. I thought we had seen something come forward from Paul's, and one of the conditions was doing something with those dumpsters.
Randy, I just wrote a note on our planning staff agenda for tomorrow morning because I had the exact same recollection. And I remember I would walk my kids with strollers along that sidewalk when they were little, and there would oftentimes be the lid hanging over and blocking the sidewalk. And so I thought we had resolved that as well. And I don't know if that's an old image or if that problem still exists, but those dumpsters are supposed to be enclosed and screened.
Yeah, Abby, this is from 2018, the street view. And then I remember that was a contingency for them they had expanded their patio area.
Yeah.
And that was a contingency approval for that.
Well, and that parking lot looks like it was just repaved. It looks very fresh in this image, which I'm surprised to see that because it doesn't appear that the the parking lot. Well, I can tell you that the parking lot does not meet our current standards. So maybe they got a variance or maybe there was a way that that was approved without going through the process, but there normally would be a requirement for landscaping along that back side, which might help solve the issues that Cool Hand is having.
So,
The only other comment that I'd make or suggestion as a possible alternative to the chain link fence would be, you know, a guardrail, like a wooden guardrail, like you would see along a road. It's something that would stop the, you know, the bumpers or the hitches or whatever. You know, I'm sympathetic to this case because at my old office building, we shared the parking lot with Hodes, and you know, similar things occurred. We were able to talk with Hodes though, and they would send someone out every morning to clean up our property for us, you know, from some of the debris. And I think that you know, Paul's should be doing the same thing for you. I mean, damages from his customers, he ought to be responsible for.
so Ed, how urgent is that how soon you want to get it done? I think there are a lot of issues here which need to be sorted out, and there may be some potential solutions here. And I don't know if your area between the fence and your building is wide enough there that you could actually have some landscaping there. So Abby, what do you think that if it is not really urgent and if we could defer it, and is there any possibility of sorting it out with these, I don't know if that's city's job or whose that,
Well, we will look into the questions that have been raised regarding the neighboring properties. We'll be sure to look into that right away. Maybe a solution for this issue would be, and I don't know if this would be cost neutral, so I'm just throwing it out there as an idea. What about if the property owner installed bollards, pipe bollards to protect the building, shortened up the area that would be fenced to just the side yard for breaks and to accommodate the pet, but then also reduce the overall height of the fence, keeping it wood, a new wood fence, and maybe making it a 4-foot or a 5-foot tall fence. That I don't know if that would be cost neutral or not.
do you want to work with we can, unless there's some urgency, we can defer it, and you can work with Ed and see if talk to Paul as well. I guess there are some issues which need to be sorted out rather than jumping into this and approving or not approving it. So
Okay.
Yeah, and right now, if we were to get onto a schedule to do the fence, it would be August at the earliest that we would be able to get a contractor in to do it. They're that far out, and we don't want to put a down payment down and schedule any kind of fencing to get on their time schedule without knowing whether we're approved or not, because once we give them that check, you know, that's done. So the only urgency there is, to get on their schedule so that we know we could actually get it done, hopefully at least in this season. My other thought was maybe if we could replace the wood fence the way it is now and do the back section that is in between us and the bar in the chain link with the slats along that back section where you don't really see it from the street much anyway. It would just be visible, you know, from his parking lot, and then replace the rest of it just the way it is with nicer, newer fence, you know, wood fence.
how about if you work with the staff and come up with some solution which even could be for at the next plan commission meeting? So it's just 2 weeks isn't going to make that big a difference. So John Schaefer?
I just want to say I didn't have much problem before, but I really like the idea of maintaining some wood on the street side and then doing what you need to do against the against the restaurant or the bar. And I certainly would be very happy to look at that as a successful compromise with hearing what all the other commissioners are saying. So I think that would be a direction to look.
Okay, so should we just defer it to the next plan commission meeting?
Mayor?
Yeah.
I'm okay with deferring it, and I'm happy to work with the applicant. My feeling about this and the direction that we have given people for as long as I've been with the city is for commercial areas, we do not support chain link fences. And I appreciate Commissioner Schaefer and Commissioner Erdman Herman's comments about the aesthetics. I do feel that if we were to allow chain link fence in a commercial redeveloping area like this, it would set a bad precedent. And although it's not single family residential directly adjacent, it is multifamily to the north, multifamily to the south, and there's a substantial amount of single family homes along both sides of Clark Street to the south. Most of the properties in that area have recently redeveloped. They all look very nice. And I think that putting a new chain link fence that would be up there for, 10 to 15 plus years would be a mistake. While I appreciate the concern about the cost, my goal would be to work with the applicant to try to find a way to make the fence fit with what we have always said we would require for a fence in a commercial area, but to find a way to do that can be cost neutral for them, because I understand the cost concern.
And I agree with you. I don't think we're going to put a chain link fence here. So, okay, I make a motion to defer, and I would ask the applicant to work with the staff and come up with a solution.
Slavish will second that.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Otherwise, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. We don't have item number 4. Or Abby, do we need to make any motion here for item number 4, or what do you need to do?
We do not need to. This item was not properly before the
Okay.
planning.
Okay, all right. We are on to the item number 5. This is the bell form, I think, from what I remember. Yes, item number 5, preliminary plat. This is the bell form 487 Parliamentary Street, Abbey.
Yes, I had raised some, so in addition to the staff comments that you're seeing here on your screen, the orange staff comments, which were written by our engineering staff, I had raised some additional concerns about the steepness of some of the lots that were being proposed, what the building profiles for the townhome lots would look like. We would need to have an amended preliminary plat to show the easement for the Graber Pond Trail connection, and also just to note that the parkland dedication fee item is still outstanding. I think that there was a checkbox included on the application form about that. I heard from Bruce Holler that he had some comments back, but I have not yet had a chance to see those. So Bruce is on the call, and maybe he can provide an update.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Good evening. Yeah, so Kathleen and I had kind of took a second look at those lots along the north that you're looking at now, and tried to think of what we could do to relocate those or adjust some of the alignment of that north property to open up or minimize the overlap into the steep slopes. And I don't know if you or Daphne got the email I had sent not too long ago. We scrambled together and put a preliminary plat, an adjusted preliminary plat that we had some ideas of where we could relocate those smaller lots that we're referring to as London Mews, and adjusting the longer, narrower townhomes lots that we're looking at between 103 or lot 90 and 103, from long and narrow to kind of wide and about half splitting them in half and going about 50 feet wide and 50 feet deep, and rearranging the townhome, shuffling the townhome garage and the townhome itself, and essentially then pulling outlet 17, that alignment down closer to Bellefontaine. I don't know, and what we want to do is just kind of, I don't know if you could bring up the email attachment I had that we just want to kind of get your.
Is it the one that you sent like right at the beginning of this meeting at
It
7?
is, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me see here if I can get it pulled up here.
And we'd just be looking for some feedback in general to see if we're kind of if I mean, just kind of gauge your temperature on that before we proceed with too many changes.
I'm gonna try to forward it to Daphne. I have my 3 screens set up going because I wasn't sharing screen, and it causes problems when I try to pull something up and share it here. So let me see if
Could Bruce share his screen, do you think?
Yes, Bruce, you can share your screen. That would be that would be great.
Hey, let's do that then. All right, can you see this now? So
we
Not
don't see
yet.
it yet. No.
oh, I'm sorry, I should share here.
There we go.
Yeah, we
Okay,
see it now, so.
so I'm going to zoom in kind of a little closer into the area that we've made the adjustments to. And you can see what we ended up doing is pulling back, which is now outlet 15, pulling this down a little bit further and shortening up these lots, these townhome lots along Bellefontaine, and presenting the same product on the other side of the street. And what that does is it frees up this area, which was the area of concern with the steep slopes. Here's the tree line here. And what we ended up doing was taking what we lost, we replaced up here, came down into this little block here, a little nest of those mews. It went from 16 to 8 in this area. And, you know, we added this leg of the private drive and brought this up a little bit. We've since looked at these lots here, and we're probably likely going to take those lot lines out and just show those as one large lot here and one large lot here, in the event Kathleen you know, wants to set that aside for her yoga studio or something of that sort. But with this area here being the final phase of the project, that's the market conditions are going to kind of drive that. But it just gives you an idea of what can be done with some estate-sized lots, similar to what's across the street. Everything within this Serenbe and West doesn't change. These lots are all the same. This and sort of area is the same. It's just this area here, we rearranged things a little bit and introduced those mews down in here. So again, the goal was to try to open this up a little bit to minimize our disturbance and replace some of the green space we had lost down here. It's now up in this area. So I know this is the first you've seen it, so it's on, you know. But we're still working with this sanitary sewer easement that we're trying to work our way around, and also trying to look at, here's this little gray rectangle here is the end of the existing bike path. And we'll extend that connection either back up this way to Bellefontaine, potentially, or maybe even bring it down and run it along the sanitary sewer easement through the site. But we're still looking at what might be the best route for that with this new adjustment.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, I appreciated Abby's comments, and as we looked closer, it seemed like we could address that issue of building into the slope, into the steepness, and still end up with a lovely plan. We're still tweaking a few things here because we were just sort of scrambling to give you guys a look tonight, so that we could respond to, what Abby had mentioned.
Thank you, Kathleen. So the city had a bus tour on Saturday, and we were at the Municipal Operations Center, and we could look at your this proposed site. So you have beautiful mountains that I'm sure you're using in some very productive way. So this site does have a lot of possibilities. So from looking at this, I can't really tell, but I'm sure that you have the vision that how this will be a phenomenal place. So I think Mike Slavish, your hand up.
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions for Bruce and Kathleen. Given the fact that, some of these lot sizes and configurations are a bit unconventional, not saying that we as a planning commission wouldn't support that, but, you've got a lot of topography out here as well. One of the things that might be helpful for us to envision what you're proposing would maybe do a couple of, site layouts, Bruce, maybe with some cross sections to see how do these units integrate with the topography that exist out here naturally. For those of us who have worked in development where you've got high slope areas, even if you're building in that presents challenges, but addressing just the sheet flow now that, ran across a large grassy area is now going to be channeled into kind of narrow, areas between homes. Because again, these lots are not big. That's going to create, an acceleration of that flow and just how you're proposing to do that. And I think some of the cross sections for us to visualize as a planning commission and ultimately council, I think would be really helpful, given the unique nature of what you're planning and proposing here. Just my thoughts.
Okay, next one is Randy Bruce.
I agree with Mike on that comment. These lots are unique, which can present some interesting results. And I think the commission's been very positive about this development, but having a little bit better idea of what the ultimate built condition might be, what types of units and how they might be integrated into the landform would be very helpful. The only other question I have is for Abby. Would this kind of change mean that we need to amend the GDP or SIP?
I think that as long as the number of housing units, 880, you're not exceeding that. We notice the hearing with maximums. So you're not changing any of the commercial square footages, the overall unit count. I think that we would be okay with this being minor enough that it could be a change that could be implemented through the platting as well as the SIPs. So I don't foresee that being an issue. The one concern that I have now is that our subdivision ordinance has a provision that states that a plat is considered approved if it is not acted on within 90 days from the date submitted. So the city's deadline to approve, conditionally approve, or reject the preliminary plat is June 12th. And, you know, we don't have right now what I appreciate what Bruce is sharing on the screen, but we don't have a revised plat that shows, you know, the contour lines, the size of the lots, those sorts of things. And I don't know when we'll get that. So we might have to request an extension from you, Bruce, depending on how long it takes to get the revised version and when our staff has a chance to review it.
Understood, yeah.
But Bruce, I think this move is in the right direction. It does seem to solve some of those problems. And I don't, did you look at relocating Bellefontaine, or did Bellefontaine get adjusted at all?
But we left Bellefontaine as is.
We currently left it as is, you know, I mean, it's something we talk about sometimes behind the scenes a lot, but and we probably will look a little closer yet this week, you know, as we, you know, meet with more of our team members. But I know, you know, it's, you know, I guess any hesitancy of shifting Bellefontaine is just the length of time it took us to even get to this point with Bellefontaine, that I'm a little worried that we would run into a lot more delays, and we need to start moving, you know, things forward. So I think we're going to meet with our, you know, more of our staff this week, kick it around, and then maybe that'll be a question for Abby or for Sean in terms of, you know, if we did propose a shift in alignment to Bellefontaine, do we think that is going to take a long time of kicking back and forth? If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's understood.
Do you have any suggestions, Randy, or like, do you have?
The only reason I questioned it was because obviously as you move some of the development, the construction south out of the hillside, it's going to alleviate some of the grading conditions. And it looks like you may have some room south of Bellefontaine yet. I don't know as certainly, you know, what all your constraints are, but I just was thinking that that might be worth considering.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, any other comments from any of the commissioners or from the staff or from Bruce or Kathleen? Kathleen, we are here to help you. So, you know, so work with the staff, and we certainly want to get it done. So
thank you. Yeah, no, we're super excited, and
okay.
and I again, it was interesting to go back to the drawing board, you know, with Bruce and make those adjustments, and I think they'll be good ones. But we still have a few things just a few kinks to work out, and hopefully we'll get a revised official plat with the grades and grade lines and everything into you within this next week.
Excellent. We are all excited about the project. I want to let you know it's going to be excellent.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from staff or commissioners or anyone? Otherwise, Abby, what do you need?
I think we have enough feedback, and we'll just wait to get the revised plat. And just for Kathleen's benefit, I received a call today from a realtor who was wanting to know where she can find out about buying a lot. And I said, I don't think that they have any information out there yet. It's still kind of early. But yeah, people are excited.
Thanks, Abby.
And I like that hill, boy, that provides a lot of opportunities as well as challenges. So, okay. All right, we're going to move on to the last item. That's the University Avenue Corridor Plan. And Daphne.
Yes, so the University Avenue Ad Hoc Committee, we met on April 14th to discuss the Plan Commission's comments from the March meeting. And so there came out with a couple of changes. They discussed the the, option of a road diet that was brought up at the last Plan Commission meeting. This page is just, all the changes that SRF has made after, the ad hoc committee and Plan Commission had discussed it. And then I believe I also included the minutes of the ad hoc committee meeting. So you guys could have reviewed, the discussion that went into that as well. And so, yeah, and then at the last item on here is the actual revised plan. So it's just, an overview of what's happened since it last came to Plan Commission.
Okay. Hey, questions or comments from the commissioners? Questions or comments from the commissioners? Okay, well, all right. Randy Bruce and then Elder Ramsey.
I just wanted to start by saying I think it's important that we get a plan in place and adopted. Where the city is going to see and Plan Commission is going to see quite a bit of redevelopment pressure on University Avenue and the properties along it. And I think having some design guidelines that help staff and help the commission evaluate proposals is going to be very important. Thank you.
Okay, next one is Elder Ramsey.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Randy. Randy, you were at this meeting. Are you happy with the, and you took back the Plan Commission's feedback. Are you happy with the changes that were made?
I am. I think they're, we certainly discussed the crossing options and the road diet for University Avenue at some length, and tried to come up with what we felt was a reasonable, a reasonable approach to those items. We also discussed some of the design guidelines in more detail, which the Plan Commission really didn't look at last time. But the committee, the committee did look at and discuss it with some detail. And I don't know if any of the commission has had a chance to look at those, but essentially those guidelines were based, I think, first on the Parmenter Road design guidelines with some adjustments that I had suggested based on some of my experience with many design guidelines in the city of Madison and elsewhere.
Okay.
Thanks, Randy.
Yep.
Other comments, I can see, the University Avenue has been there for a long time. I remember when it used to be 2-lane, and I also remember when the construction, when it became 4-lane. So yeah, so having that kind of a traffic, there are a lot of challenges. So you can't just, if you make it 2-lane or 3-lane, it would have, backup and so many other issues perhaps, but I don't know. Somebody suggested that I should look at the Urbana Road. There were some changes there. I didn't have a chance to go and look at the Urbana Road, but that's also, I don't really think we have the same kind of traffic on Urbana Road in Madison because I don't know, the others may know more about it. So I think also the configuration of Urbana Road, how it's set up a little bit wavier there. So I don't know. I think the Urbana Road isn't really comparable to University Avenue. So I don't know. What do you think, Randy? So did you look at what was done recently at the Urbana Road, and is there any comparison here? Or
well, in terms of the road diet, I don't think Urbana Road and University Avenue are really comparable. The University Avenue is certainly a main arterial, through east-west arterial through Middleton and most of Madison. So it carries quite a bit of traffic. It's just a different road really than Urbana.
I think I agree with you. Commissioner Schaefer?
Yeah, I was just going to agree with Randy because I do Urbana a lot, and that's it's really sort of a shopping district. And it's not really a through road. And I don't think it's treated that way. And it's much higher density types of places. So while I think it works well there, I don't think it's directly correlative to what we have on University Avenue.
Okay, so do we then have a motion to bring to the city council?
Schaefer will move.
Okay, need a second.
Bruce will second.
Okay. Any questions or comments now? Either from the staff or from the commissioners? Okay, Randy Bruce.
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't, my hand, I didn't mean to raise it, sorry.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, otherwise the motion is to approve and send the University Avenue corridor plan to the city council. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Well, motion passes. I don't think we have any other items. Need a motion to adjourn.
Just a moment. Did you get me added to the minutes? Sorry.
I got you. I saw you join just in time for the first vote, so we have.
Right, exactly. Sorry about that. I was walking my dog and she did not want to come in today.
Understand.
So you want to make a motion to adjourn, Gretchen, then?
Yeah, that'd be great. Motion to adjourn.
Need a second?
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Schaefer. All those in favor of the motion adjourn, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? We are adjourned, and thank you, everyone. So,
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks all.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
good night.
Thanks.